We take you now to our reporter Lulama Matya, who is live from the Western Cape for more. A very good evening to you, Lulama. We've just listened to a little bit of disappointment coming out of the DA in Mpumalanga. How's it looking in the Western Cape?
Welcome to the Western Cape Results Operations Center. Not much is happening here at the center at the moment. Western Cape Provincial Head Michael Hendrikse has called it a day, saying that the staff is avoiding a situation whereby they will do mistakes due to fatigue. They will start tomorrow at 6 p.m. So the majority of party agents that are here have left. Very few that are remaining behind, but there's nothing that will happen. The scoreboard will remain the same throughout the night until after 6 o'clock in the morning, when work starts to begin. But I am joined by an agent from the Good Party. The Good Party currently has 2 seats in the National Assembly. This election has been dubbed as a new 1994 in so many ways. There's also emergence of smaller parties, which there was predictions that these smaller parties are going to make an impact, inroads in some of those, in the support of the big parties. The Good Party, the leader, Patricia de Lille, has been around for a long time. In 1994, she was in Parliament. She was a PAC member in 1994, and she established the Identity Democrats, Identity Independence, due to Iflo Crossing. And then she later merged with the DA, and after a fallout with the DA, she then established the Good Party. But to talk to us more about how the party is performing, I am joined by Lulama Benge. Buti, not good at all for the Good Party on that scoreboard.
Well, yes, not what we expected. Look, the majority of the votes we got in 2009 was the urban votes, which is going to come in the morning. So we're hoping that we will retain that seat in province and retain the 2 seats in the National Assembly.
You're not talking about increasing your seats, you're talking about retaining. I thought you will say you want to increase your seats.
Correct. I mean, that was our hope to show growth. But, you know, we are on 59% currently on the VT that's been completed, been captured. That was a hope to show growth. To show more seats in Parliament. But look, reality, people have spoken. Yes, you have mentioned that the smaller parties, as we could see, that contested in this national provincial election have shown numbers. I mean, like the CCC, like the PA. We will see after when we complete the 100% complete capturing all that votes.
Talking about the CCC and the PA, would you say that they have made inroads in areas where you had support?
Well, I mean, look, as I said, that we did have support in the rural area, and I think we still have support there. But our most votes come from the urban votes. One would say middle class votes. So those votes will still kind of come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
This election, as I said earlier, the significance or the importance of it on 30 years of democracy was not only about the emergence of smaller parties, which is the norm in every election, because every election we see newcomers coming in. Some they do well, some they don't even make it to the final to the scoreboard due to the support that they have not been given, or the voters rejecting them, as is sometimes that's what the way politician would put it, that voters have rejected a particular political party. There was also independent candidates, which 11 of them took part in this election, and they were hoping to make history by becoming the first independent candidates to have representation in the National Assembly, after a lengthy court process which went to the Constitutional Court, forcing Parliament to amend the Electoral Act to allow for independent candidates to contest provincial and national elections. But to talk to us more about the issue of independent candidates, I am joined by political analyst Dr. Helen Cloete. Good evening and welcome to the SABC.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers.
The independent candidates, do you think South Africa, after looking at what is happening, the Western Cape, we have Zaki Ahmad, a political activist, a social activist. He's not doing very well on the scoreboard. Do you think South Africa is ready for independent candidates?
I don't think it's a question of readiness. I think we've got 30 years of democracy and we have established political parties. To be able to contest an election, you need resources and you need deep pockets to be able to do that. And I think to be able to contest an election, you must be able to get your message out. Now, if you want to govern, if you want your policies to go through, you will have to have a majority. And so it was, I don't think the message of one person, for example, you will have to cite somewhere in terms to get policies through. So that message of what an individual can do, I don't think that that message was communicated as well as it should be.
So now that after this election, the announcement of the election results, what would you think they should do, the independent candidates, if they want to contest the next provincial and general election?
I asked Zaki Ahmad that question this afternoon. So Zaki, you didn't do so well on the board, so what are you going to do now? Because he's got a track record of an activist. If you look at his record of treatment action campaign, people loved what he stands for. And his words was, I'm going to train 5 more activists to be able to take my position. So, that is admirable. Given the odds are all stacked against him, he still believes that there's an opportunity for independence to make a difference.
And before election day, when he spoke to me, he said that he's pinning his hopes on his track record as an activist. So if he is known by those thousands of people, then where did the cracks out? Did the votes, where did they go?
I think the opposition party, like I said, deep pockets, you have to get your message across. And what came out clearly, if you look at the DA's message, save South Africa, rescue South Africa. So that message came across, that they're the only party that can stop what they call the ANC EFF Doomsday Coalition. And so that message went across to the voters. Where they go from here, I'm not sure. But, what this election shows, that it's still a 2-3 horse race in the Western Cape now. It's between the ANC, the DA, and the Patriotic Alliance and the EFF seem to be the front runners in terms of, and both the ANC and the DA are established political parties with the ability to get their voters out on the day. The blue machine and the yellow machine and the green machine, they are experienced campaigners.
There's the National Assembly, the 400 seats in the National Assembly are split into 200 for political parties, 200 that will also accommodate the independents. If none of them are making it to Parliament, what should happen there?
I think the track record of independence at the local government sphere seems to be better. There are cases within South Africa, I think in the Cederberg, where independent community parties have made inroads. It's a bit more difficult, I think, to make inroads on the national sphere. I think BOSA have at one stage talked about, a coalition of independents. But quite frankly, you know, if we talk smaller parties and independents, I think it would have been wiser for Musi Maimane, for example, and Herman Mashaba to merge. You know, both of them are disgruntled, walked away from the DA. But, you know, you just split the opposition in that way. And so I think it's for a like-minded interest group at the national level, perhaps, to form guiding coalitions. If you look at the PMC, Maris Fransman's outfit in the Western Cape, they didn't do as well. If you look at the board with plus minus 60% of the vote. So the next thing is to watch is independence in the local government elections of 2026. You know, will we see a strong emergence of that? What we have seen is the rise of civic organizations, independence at the local community level, organizing themselves better and saying we're forming a bloc to oppose the traditional parties. And they have been relatively successful in some instances in the Western Cape in particular.
Thank you very much for your time. That was political analyst Dr. Helen Klute. With that, back to you at the studio.
Very well. Thank you very much there, Lulama Matya, live from the Western Cape. They're just really ironing out the importance of getting your message across as a political party and independent running in these elections.